Ravinder ji, could you? Yeah, it's live now. Rose, you may begin.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I, Rose Tokno, welcome all participants and the speaker for today's session to our last session of the 2-week online refresher course. The last live session is on the topic, how to write a publishable quantitative manuscript. We are honored to have with us our speaker, Professor Damodar Suwar, who will be guiding us for the same. So, thank you for sparing your precious time to share your valuable experience and knowledge. Professor Suwar is currently the chairman of Social Sciences Research at KIIT University, Bhubaneswar, and has been former professor at Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, IIT Kharagpur. Sir has over 27 years of teaching experience in the field of psychology, with areas of interest in social and organizational psychology, neuropsychology, and research methodology. Damodar sir, thank you again for giving us this opportunity to learn from you. I now kindly request you to commence the session, sir.
Thank you all. Let me take 1 minute to share the screen.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So let us start without wasting time.
Okay, sir.
So today we'll be talking about writing about a publishable manuscript, particular reference to quantitative manuscript. But we can also cover at the end about little differences about quantitative, qualitative, and mixed research, and also deal with that. Before you publish, the major question comes to your mind: who are the stakeholders when you are publishing an article? The major stakeholders in an article is the authors, editors and reviewers, publishers, readers, those who are the audience, and the librarians. Author perspective is that, can I get my paper published? Because as you all know, in academics, either you publish or perish. Meaning is that if you publish, it will brand you as a good researcher and a good teacher. And also it will bring the reputation to the institute where you are working. And also if you are publishing a good article, you can brand yourself as a good researcher. And ultimately when you do research and do certain things, it contributes some way or other for the welfare of the society. And many of the researches are policy driven, because at the end of the research, we try to bring out some policy or certain practices or certain processes which will benefit to the society. So therefore, any research you do, ultimately the bottom line is the welfare of the society. So therefore, if we are doing a good piece of work, ultimately we are contributing to the welfare of the society, and nothing is more creditable for a human being than contributing to the society where we have taken birth and where we are doing our business and surviving. Editor perspective is that, does it meet the requirements of the journal and its audience or the readers? So editor, when it looks to the whether there is originality in the manuscript, whether it's making a new contribution to the knowledge, contradicting the past, or modifying the past knowledge, or making a new theory. Is it making a new contribution to knowledge? So is there some originality in the manuscript? Does the manuscript extends the past knowledge, revise a particular theory, or settle a controversy or do something which is beneficial to the field of discipline on which you are working. If that is so, then the editor is likely to pass the article at his own level and it will go to the next level. And emerald scholars, they view that an article is good when it either modifies a theory or tests the contesting ideas in a theory, or the research is grounded on a theory. So theory is the backbone for research. And theory is not that there are grand theories, there are also micro theories. And theory is the accumulation of knowledge. When you do something that adds a new dimension to that accumulation of knowledge, either in the form of contradiction or in the form of supporting and extending, or in the form of settling the controversies and so on. Publisher perspective is that, is the journal performing as per its market expectations? Reader's perspective is that, I am a scholar or a doctoral student, then is it useful to me? If it is useful to me, then it is more likely to be useful to others, and the article is more likely to get a wider readership. If it gets a wider readership and more likely to be cited, that is a direct bearing on the impact factor of the journal, because your knowledge becomes the backbone for formulating further knowledge or developing further knowledge. And that way the journal is benefited and you are also credited. And librarian perspective is that, because in any institutes, we have many students and library is our storehouse of knowledge. And in that case, students definitely like to read the journals. Whatever you read in the journals, that are more likely to come in the form of a book after 5 or 10 years. Therefore, being in the profession, we ought to read journals continuously to improve and upgrade our existing knowledge. So everybody is quite interested as they, okay, how can I get access to this particular manuscript? So either directly the journal can subscribe to the database, the institute can subscribe to the database, or there can be an intra-library loan, or through some other means we can get access to the articles or the manuscript. So these are the major stakes of the different stakeholders in a publication. But one point, the bottom line is that publishing an article in a high impact factor quality journal will satisfy the claim of all stakeholders. Readership will be more. It will be useful to many. The journal will be sold in the market highly, and it will give some new ideas, and it will help in branding the authors and the institutions. So a good quality article will satisfy the claims of all the stakeholders. So that is why we must think that we, being the scholars in that particular discipline, we must contribute something which will lead to the upgradation of knowledge or extension of the existing knowledge or add some new dimension to the existing knowledge. That's why we do research and publish articles. Then some of the tips for style and language I will deal with, because before writing one must be aware of all these things. When we are also young scholars like this, we are searching here and there. But one thing is that when you read the articles in different journals, it modifies our language and expression ability. We know the vocabulary and the terms and terminology that is used in a particular discipline. It is not the language that matters, even if you can simple language. But we must get acquainted with the terms, vocabulary, and we must be simple and clear expressions and logical expressions, and they must be integrated in such a way so that once some person is reading it, his emotions will be involved. But if they writing a haphazard here and there is no connection, I'll read one page, after that I will not feel interested to read that. So clarity, simplicity, logicality, proper sequencing, these are essential in writing. And in research writing, clarity will get the first priority. So therefore, whenever you write, many people, beginners, what they do, 2-3 ideas like preparing a note, they punch in one paragraph. That's not acceptable in research. One idea and one theme must carry one paragraph. And what is that next connecting paragraph? what I am going to write. So, and many people when they write, we have two major streams of English. One is American English, British English. Many people mix it and call it Indian English. No, either you write in Indian English or you write mainly in British and American English, because these are the two English versions which are accepted in journals. Like two words. American is 2 words, British is 2 words. Behavior. OUR is British, OR is Americans. Similarly, there are many words, common words we must be get acquainted with, so that if you write it in American English. If you write in British English, don't mix up the two. And that will give a bad impression when the reviewer will read the articles or the chief editor will read the articles. And therefore, in spell check, you go to either change the American English or to British English, then write, so that the chances of mistakes are very less. Do not write too long or too short sentences. Use optimum words required to write. Because if your sentence is 20 words, by the time you read the first word and go to the last word, you will lose the meaning what the person is writing. If it is 13 to 12 to 14 words, then the meaning will be go from first word to the last word. If it is a longer sentence, then never the reader will remember the meaning from the first to the last. So therefore, try writing short sentences of 12 to 14 words with clarity. And that will give you an advantage that clarity will be there if I write short sentences and organize it again and again. And sometimes you use some unnecessary embellishments, unnecessary words, phrases, jargons. These are not required in writing because scientific writing is very simple, clean, and clear. Remember these things. They don't require some ornamental words to decorate it. You can give a high-ending speech in a public, but with high bombastic words. But in writing, it is very simple, clear, precise, and logical and reflective. And therefore, what you say that all the time when you are writing, you write the active voice, write in active voice. Shorter sentences, because by writing in active voice, what happens? Your word requirement for a particular sentence becomes less. Give me a glass of water. She brought a glass of water to me. So you see, when the voice changes from active to passive, the number of words by her, this increases. So therefore, if you are writing active voice, then the number of word count will be less. And when you are writing, you have to also know about the word use, table use, and about the graphs presentation, all these things by reading a publication manual. For the psychological community, what we know, that API is the standard reference, and we can read that so that we can know about how you can avoid sexist bias, sexist language, how you can use the biases in language, and all these things, beginning from word use to the reference citation, to the ethical issues, to the table references, to the graph headings, everything is given there. Say, for example, many of us know there is a table and how the table heading is to be represented. Table showing all these things, they will write to table caption should be short. It is not that table show nahi karega to kya bhai karega, table to show karega. So that does not mean that table showing, why you are writing in an unnecessary word where it is not required. So be precise in writing. Similarly, below a table, say for example, we have 3 types of notes. One is called a probability note, another is called a general note which is applicable to the whole table, and another is a specific note that may be applicable to a column or to a row. So that if you do not know, then what we'll do, we'll write elaborately everything here and there, which is not required. Sometimes what we do, we copy the computer printout. Many things there are not relevant and people also commit the error in doing so. I will tell those things later on. So therefore, see a publication manual, please read it so that you can educate yourself and you can also educate others whom you are supervising. Because by the process of mentoring, the learning starts there. Because if we prepare a brand of good professionals whom is mentor or whom we supervise, then they will spread the good message among others. Thereby, the fame of psychology will increase. Rather than creating a lot of controversy without any clarity, going here and there, and that's not expected in writing, and it is not acceptable also. Similarly, you are writing any paper you take, there will be introduction, there will be method, there will be result section, there will be discussion section. Only in qualitative paper, you will be finding in case of results, you can write findings. And in case of hypothesis and objectives, you have certain, you can case of hypothesis and research question. In qualitative paper, you have objectives. And there are other way of analysis in qualitative paper. Otherwise, the pattern remains more or less same. There is no exhaustive review of literature. There is no substantive review of literature as you do on quantitative paper in qualitative paper. Because the ground reality first you understand, then you carry out the qualitative research. So therefore, when you are writing a paper, there are 4 parts, and there must be a clear link between the 4 parts. Whatever hypothesis you have raised, that must be, what are the variables involved, that must be measured. What is the sample on which it is studied, it must be mentioned. What is the procedure you have followed to measure that variables, or the process you have followed to collect the data, that must be there. And in results, the same hypothesis containing the variables will be answered in result sections. And the discussion will be there regarding that variable, relationship of independent with the dependent variable on the discussion section. So there is a clear link with the introduction to method, to results, to discussion. And new authors, when you write 3-4 times in the initially, before you give a final save. And after the first writing, give a gap of 15 minutes, 15 days, and keep it. And then after 15 days, you read it, and then you correct it and pass on to another person who is not acquainted with your field. If he is able to understand what you have written, then you can get the signal that the article has passed the acid test. It can be sent to the journal. But if you find that that person is not able to understand, which is not a specialist in my field, and he is telling what you are doing, I am not getting head or tail of it, that means the article has not passed the acid test. You have to rework on that to bring it to a safe so that others will understand it. Because when you write, we think that we are writing in a particular field. In psychology, there are 100 fields. Everybody is not educated in 100 fields. So therefore, whatever you write must be palatable and understandable by other persons. That is our major concern. And when you submit an article or write an article, if our language is not English, then get it edited by a native speaker of English, or many journals have commercial services for editing. Please send it so that at least when it is going out of your hand, it is perfect to the extent possible. And articles, when you submit, these are read at several levels. First, the article you send to the editor. What the editor does, he will read the article, and initially either he will make 2 options. Either he will desk reject, or you will send it to the associate editor of the journal. Associate editor will find out another 2-3 reviewers who have worked in that particular field. And understanding that these are the persons who are worked in that particular field, the associate editor will send that article to some of the reviewers. Then the reviewers will read that article, and independently they will give their comment to the associate editor. Then the associate editor is often the action editor for the articles. That means he can take a decision whether it will be accepted or it will be rejected, or it will go for revision. And once he will do that, it will go for revision, they will write a series of comments. And those comments again will go to the chief editor. Chief editor will see, either he may write the comments or he may advise that you reply to each and every comments and see that these article incorporate these things, and there is a major revision required for it. Then the article is again returned back to the author. And author, what he does, he revises the article. Again, either the editor, if he feels satisfied, or the associate editor feels satisfied, they may not send it for review. Or if they do not feel satisfied, they will send it for review again to the same author, same reviewers. And again, suppose your article is accepted. Crossing all the ladders, your article is accepted. Then what will happen? It will go to a language editor. In some of the good journals, they keep a language editor where they will suggest, this is the word you change to this is the word you have changed to this, and all that. That you can do. And then it is seen by a stat or math editor. we will see that whether the statistics and mathematics applied in the particular manuscript is correct or not. So therefore, point here I want to bring that the article is read at several levels. So therefore, one has to see that I will write in such a manner so that it will satisfy to each and every one. You may have brilliant ideas, okay, brilliant breakthrough ideas, but if it is not well written, then at least, at best, the publication will be delayed or it may not be published. So therefore, we have to look all into these things for language and tips before we write. And for that, you must read the articles in all good journals so that you can find out a pattern, the way they are writing, where they are putting comma, where they are using semicolon, what is the structure of the sentence, how they are making. Accordingly, you can model, you can modulate, and you can change yourself to suit that type of standards. Because English is international language and it is accepted. And being in that particular profession, so we must see that our writing is up to that level. And what are these formats that will follow when we write? Formats have developed over a period of time. It is not that it is written on the stone, but as a professional, this has developed over a period of time. And being a particular person in that profession, I must follow that format. And the format of developed over a period of time is first the title page. Then next page goes the abstract. Then start the introduction, which may be 4 or 5 pages. Then the methods, then the results, then discussions, then references, then supplementary material. After that, you submit it to a journal. Then if the journal asks for revision, you revise and provide a listed reply to comments, or you resubmit. Then the final submission. Then comes the copyright transfer. Then after the copyright transfer, you have a website of each journal. You can track the status of the articles in the website of the journal, whether it is in the printing stage or it is in the press. Then it goes for printing. After printing, it will be sent to the reviewers for corrections. Then from the editorial office, there may be some queries about certain words. Some references are missed, or some reference to be deleted because they are not found in the text. Like that, many things will come, and you have to reply to that editorial queries from the space. And finally, the article is published. And before that, we have to know what the title page contains. Title page is a single page. Here you write the running head and goal goes in capital letters and limit to 50 words. That means it is a short title of your article, which is called the running head. And in introduction, put it in the header so that in every page it will appear in the header of the typed pages. Title, summarize the main ideas of a paper in 10 to 12 words, like the title of a book. Like some people write a study of, observation on, investigation of, words like that should be avoided. If you avoid these words, meaning remains same. So why to use an unnecessary word which is not necessary? Okay? And at the same time, sometimes you may ask it in the question form. Does social responsibility influence financial performance? Like that. So it can be put in a question form. Okay? Does corporate social responsibility influence financial performance of the company? Indian manufacturing firms or service industries. So like that, you can put it in a question form. Question form is more likely to erode the interest. Not that everywhere you put the question form, it can also, without question form, it can go. But don't use in the title abbreviations, jargons, exact, or do not use keywords. Some keywords will be there in the title. Okay? So when you are typing the title, center it on the page and capitalize only the first letter of the important words. The, in, of, these are not to be capitalized. Okay? First letter should not be capitalized. And then comes the author in the first page. Author, who will be the first author? Generally in a doctoral dissertation, our scholars are first authors and the supervisor is the second author. Otherwise, who has the intellectual contribution more? Who has designed the study? Who has contributed the idea? Who can publicly defend the data? Who can approve the final version? he is supposed to be the first author. But in doctoral dissertation, students are the first author and supervisor or supervisors are the second authors. Then you have to write the institutional affiliation where you are working, and this also gives a indication to which college or university you belong to. And if it is published in a good journal, that will increase the reputation index of that particular university or the college. Then in that page you can write acknowledgement. This is just acknowledgement I have copied from another project on a particular paper what we have written. The research was supported in part by grants from the Defense Institute of Psychological Research, Delhi Government of India. The authors are thankful to this and this fellow and this fellow for supervision during data collection. And sometimes now in title page, some journals require you have to mention conflict of interest. Then you have to write the disclosure, data disclosure and all these things. So some other additional things are there to be in the title page. Title page is a single page. Okay. After the next page of the title, then the abstract starts. Briefly describe briefly and clearly what was done, and that will influence the reader, because this is the thing which most of the people read. After reading the abstract, readers will decide whether they will read your full article, full manuscript or not. So therefore, it has to be very clear, written and succinct, and it is very, very clearly written in such a way so that it will attract the attention of the readers. And it is available widely on the internet, read widely. Some authors, what they do after writing the paper, they write the abstract. And some, so that the ideas are clear and they can put it concisely in the abstract. And some people, they write in the beginning. And for writing abstract, these are 4 or 5 points you must remember. Many people write the introduction in 4 or 5 lines. Don't do that mistake. Write what you want to work, what you want to do, what you have examined, what you have studied in 1 or 2 sentences maximum. Be clear on this. What people do, they write the introduction like that. In the abstract, they will write 4 or 5 lines and results 1 line. That is not acceptable. And then the method, similarly 1 to 2 lines maximum, 1 to 2 sentences. That is what are the, how many participants, what method you have followed to select them, what are the variables you have measured, and what is the procedure you have followed. Only 1 to 2 sentences, everything will be covered. Results, here it is your originality. Because after doing research, what you have found is your originality. So therefore, here 4 or 5 important findings must surface in the results section. Must come in the results section. Because that is your original contribution, nothing more than that. And then you have to mention the novelty or implication or contribution to knowledge in 1 sentences or 2 sentences maximum. Then after that in the abstract, it will be in another fresh page. Then you write the keywords. Keywords, why do you do? Because keywords will decide who will be the reviewer for that particular article. Keywords, other researchers also who is searching for a particular theme, seeing the keyword, he may feel interested to read the articles. Or keywords may be in abstracting and indexing services, this may be used for indexing or abstracting that article. Okay. Then abstract format, double spaced, single paragraph in block format without indentation of the first line. That means it will start from the beginning and without indentation. Be accurate. Do not include information that is not in the body of the manuscript. It should be self-contained, spell out abbreviation, don't use abbreviations there. Concise, it should be in APA, as per APA manual, it should be 120 words or 12 lines. But some journals, they also give relaxation up to 150 and 200. Okay, words maximum, that means 50 or 20 lines. And also some journals are there like death studies, or you can find Journal of Loss and Trauma. I have some publications there, they require that the abstract should be written in 100 words or maximum 10 lines. If it is more than 100, that journal will not take the abstract. So that you have to understand that how I can write everything in 120 lines, keeping the results in focus and other things only 1 sentences. Being concise means you have to use the digits for the numbers, for all numbers, except when a sentence begins with a number. There you have to write in words. And and paraphrase rather than quote, use active rather than passive voice. And when you are writing abstract, the general format is that you have to write the method in past tense. Everything else will be in present tense. But when the main manuscript or the main text, your introduction and discussion will be in present tense. Results, method and results will be in past tense. Please remember this. This is a standard practice. It is not that it is written on the stone, but it is evolved over a period of time that we have to follow this format. In the next section, you have an introduction on the new page. Press and hold down the control key while you press the enter key. Word will force a page break and you go to the next page. That means your abstract is over and now you are entering to the main text. Okay. In the main text, what you have to, title of the manuscript is retyped here. Then the introduction, you with the indentation you start here. Okay. Title of the is kept in the middle, and your main purpose is to tell the reader why you have performed the study. And if the study is there, then how it is beneficial from a theoretical point of view or practical point of view. How it is going to contribute something new to the knowledge which was not there existing earlier. So inform the reader about what you are primarily you are going to examine, or what is the purpose of your study, and how it is going to benefit, or what is its implication theoretically and practically. And after that paragraph, the literature review starts. Because your purpose is defined in the first paragraph. Then you have to try it with broad literature review, then make it more concise. Come to the relevant terms and make it more concise. But when you are reviewing literature, remember you are not going to historical review the literature. You have to go for substantive review, which has relevance to your topic. And many of the authors, what they do, they all the time go for upfront authoring. That takes a useless space. This fellow told this fellow told this, what you have told, there is nothing about that. So don't avoid all the time upfront authoring. X and Y said this, found this. This upfront authoring should be, because your logic, your reflection, your point that you are trying to derive analytically comes out of your description of the facts, not the authors. Okay, so therefore, avoid an exhaustive and historical review. Then go to make a clear connection between the previous literature and the present work, what you are going to do. Then accordingly, you write in such a manner that it will propel you to that this will be the objective or the research questions or the hypothesis. Why you mention hypothesis and research question? Because when you are finding a two set of contradictory set of questions, and by analytical argument, you are not able to settle the controversies. At that time, you put it in the form of a research question. Or else you all the time test the alternate hypothesis in research against the null hypothesis. Don't write null and alternate. Everybody knows you once you write the alternate, everybody knows what is the null hypothesis. So therefore, all the time in research, we test the alternate hypothesis because there is no difference between the two things. That everybody knows. Then against you are saying that alternate hypothesis, then directional alternate hypothesis is more powerful because it depends upon your analytical arguments, reflective thinking, ground reality, understanding of the theories on the basis of which you give a direction. So directional alternate hypothesis is preferred in research. Okay. Then finally, the paragraph contains a statement, what you are wanting to, what you are going to do, and you explicitly mention what you are investigating. Essentially, there are four components. Four components in general. General introduction, where you are introducing the problem. Then substantive review of literature, you do it to derive the objective, derive the research questions and the hypothesis. And then departure from the present past literature and what you are going to do in the present work. And then explicit or open statement of the problem that you are investigating. These are essentially four components. And in multiple hypotheses and multiple research questions, it will be longer. And one to hypothesis and one to research question, it will be shorter. And maximally, it will go up to 1500 to 2000 words. That means around 6 pages to 80 pages, 8 pages. Even in longer papers, you can go up to this. Because the number of pages in introduction should match with the number of pages in discussion. In roughly. What people do, whatever the result they found, they make it results and discussion, write it under one heading. But basically discussion deals with the interpretation of the results. Why the result is like that? Is it supporting the past literature? Is it complying with the ground reality and observations? Is it congruent with the theories and hypotheses? What they do, just they take some variable here and there. Please don't do it. Any research you do, already some theory is existing, whether it is a micro theory or a macro theory. And already there is some accumulation of knowledge in a particular field. You are developing over that. Okay? So maximally it can go up to 6 or 10 pages with 7-8 hypotheses. Then comes the methods portion. In method, what you do? You write about the sample or the participants. Who participated? How many? What are the procedure you have followed? What is the sampling procedure you have followed? Some of the times we provide, and in most of the times you provide a sample profile. Because one can understand what is the profile. In general research, we provide them the age, gender, and also their region where they are collected, okay, their parental income and all that, and we compare with the national standards or a regional standard to find that the sample is matching with the representative of the local population. If it is a region, data is available from secondary sources, then the primary sources you have collected the data, you can just match it in terms of percentage, mean, and standard deviation. You can find if there is a parity, then it is an indication that the sample is a representative of the population. Then you have to measure about the apertures and measures. And if you are going for the measures, whether the variables you are measuring, whether you are developed or it is developed by others. Or you have adopted certain tests that is existing in the foreign countries or in other places you have adopted, because some of the tests are cross-culturally valid also. Okay, they exist in PF or the intelligent tests. So such type of things, so as they are cross-culturally valid, such tests may have some minor changes. And then you have to measure, if there are variables, you have to mention about the sample items, score range, reliability and validity in the current sample. There are very simple ways of doing the reliability and validity. It is not a very tough job. Once you do a confirmatory factor analysis, you can find out the reliability, validity in one go. So therefore do it so that it will give more authenticity to your instruments that you are using to measure the variables. For hard data, there is no reliability and validity. Say for age is a hard data, income is a hard data. In such cases, no reliability and validity is required. But in psychology and behavioral sciences, we most of the time use soft data, emotions, motives, achievement. These are soft data because these are based on the feelings of the individuals, which is reporting to a questionnaire or to an interview or to inventory. So in soft data, this reliability and validity is required, but in pure hard data, this is not required. Like blood pressure, you cannot, or blood pressure, or the blood contents. So in hard data, that reliability and validity is not required because it is itself is consistent, itself is measuring the thing it wants to measure. So there is no question of reliability and validity. Only in case of soft data, we consider the reliability and validity to be important. And if it is experimental design, describe the design, clearly spell out the independent and dependent variable, and what are the different factors of independent and dependent variable, and what the experimental manipulations are. And also mention about the control condition and the experimental conditions. That you give in the form of a graph or a chart in the beginning, before you write about sample and participants. Procedure, it tells about, clearly summarizes each step you have taken in the execution of the study. Data collection, the time you have taken. Okay, and when you have, say for example, you are in forest, in one of our studies on forest management that was done in Jharkhand, West Bengal and Odisha. We have studied 4 types of forests. There we have collected the data in the evening hours because it was the crop cutting seasons and harvesting season. So people are not available in the daytime. Such things is to be mentioned that reflect the reality. Okay. So that will come under procedure. Even 2-3 words will do that. It does not mean that you will go on describing about harvesting and everything. You have to precisely mention all these things. And if it is ethical clearance also, it will come in the beginning of the method section. You have to give the number, the ethical clearance number from your institute, if you have institutional review board or ethics committee. That gives credence to the study that it is, if it is done on the human subjects or animal subjects, then appropriate care is taken in case of animals, or no harm is done to the human beings, either psychologically, emotionally, or through exploitative relationship. No harm is done to human beings. These things need to be clear, so therefore the ethical clearance is required. Then results. In the results section, explain in words what you have found. Take a hard look at the data. And taking a hard look at the data will be easier if you have some tables, graphs, and charts are in your front derived from the data. And this section will become easier for you to write. Even in preparing a table, you have to see the APA manual. Many people don't know also, and we also commit a lot of mistake in preparing a table, not only in writing headings, but also using table spanners, where the table spanners will be used. Because once you prepare an article, it must show your professionalism in that particular field. And there is a ready reckoner or a ready-made reference, that is APA manual. It is given everything. How you write a table heading, how you will prepare it, how you write the headings, how you write the name of a figure. So all these things, a little bit of reflection on that will give you a lot of insight. Be in that profession, do it so that we will be perfect. At least if not perfect, we will be near to perfect in doing our job. Presenting the results. When presenting the results, exactly mentions whether it is refuting your hypothesis or it is supporting your hypothesis. Don't use the word proof, because in using of statistics, you use a probability statement. So for example, our result is significant at 99% level. What does it mean? We have 99% confidence that the results will differ if it is a t-test, or if it is a correlation, it will relate, and 1% chance is there that relation may not be there or difference may not be there. If the probability, if alpha is equal to 0.01, that means 99% confidence you have in the results. So therefore, don't use the word proof. In deterministic model, you can use the proof, particularly in mathematical models. But in statistical models, when probability is used, don't use the word proof. It is a wrong use of the word. Hypothesis proved, research question you have to answer. And you have to mention it clearly. Whether your results is supporting the hypothesis or refuting the hypothesis. Don't elaborate on this, because already in the introduction section, why your hypothesis is formulated, what are the arguments for that, it is already there in the introduction section. In result section, you have to find out to give the tables and mention whether it supports or refutes the hypothesis. This is the thing, or whether the research question is answered positively or affirmatively or negatively, or it refutes the research question or give a negative reply to the research question. So you have to mention this. So therefore, if you are giving using some advanced statistics, then before that give the descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics means it is the mean, standard deviation, variance. These are all descriptive statistics, including percentage. Mean and standard deviation will be there when the data is continuous or in metric scale, particularly when the data are in interval or ratio scale. When the data is non-metric, nominal or ordinal data, at that time percentage can be given. Particularly in norm data or nominal data. Again, mean can be used in ranking data or ordinal data. Okay? And you have to mention whether the ranking is ascending in order or descending order, so that whether the low value is important or high value is important, one can understand it. And when you are making a multi-group comparison, don't compare 100 with 20. Suppose you have experimental design following a 2 into 2 factorial design. First factor has 2 levels and second factor, each factor has 2 levels. In this case, one cell having 100 samples, another cell having 20 samples should not be compared. It is not a balanced comparison. 100 can be compared with 90, but not 100 with 20. Like as I simply tell you that there is an industry and there are 3 males. Okay, 3 males, 100 and 100 are females. Then one percentage converting into percentage mentioned that 100% of the males married to 3% of the females. This seems very absurd, but there are 100 women employees and there are only 3, out of that only 3 are the male employees. So 3% of the male employees or 3 or 100% of 3, sorry, 3 is another industry where 3 is there. In the same industry or another industry, 3 males are there, 100 women are there. So your comparison is that 100% of the male married to 3% of the women. It gives a very wrong impression once you see it. So therefore, comparison can be made with nearest neighbors, 100 with 90 or 95. Comparison cannot be made with 100 with 20. It will give a wrong impressions and the results are more likely to be biased. And when you are using the results, generally the table format is that you pick the statistics, so the T, F or R, then bracket write the degree of freedom, then give the value, then mention the probability. That is it. Note that sometimes computer printout gives the probability as 0.000. Don't mention it. Because 0.000 is not a probability. Convert it to 0.001. Okay? Because you wanted the computer printout up to 3 decimal places, within that 3 decimal places comes 0.000. After that, there may be 2 0 and again that will be 1. So don't copy it exactly. Apply your little bit of common sense so that will be all accurate when we are presenting the results. And sometimes what people do, exactly they copy the computer printout. The computer has done it. No. You have to understand what the result, because in result section, you have to give a linguistic expression to the statistical value, not that it is significant, 2 groups are different, it is highly significant, 0.00. These are not required in writing, anybody can understand. If it is very important or important, then you provide the effect size, which will say how strong is the results. Don't write it like this. You give a linguistic expression to the results. Writing of this means you don't understand what is done inside. That will give a clear indication. And nobody will buy your ideas if you write like that. It is not acceptable in academic writing. And therefore, when presenting your results, try to emphasize the meaning of statistics. Do not copy the statistical values already there in the table or graphs and models. Do not discuss the implication of the findings here. There is another portion where you can use the implications. Do not talk about the meaning of alpha and the significance level. This is not required at all. Because your readers who will read these things, they will understand what you are doing. Similar researchers like in other countries or places, they will read this. They will be able to understand. If you read things, this is not required. And if you are writing many results, if you are confused, then make the subheadings. One hypothesis, one subheading. After writing, remove those subheadings so that your writing will not go here and there. Okay, so you can write that. And you also mention whether they support or refute the hypothesis or answer the research question affirmatively. Don't use the word proof because you are using statistics, which is a probability, which is associated with probability. But when there, of course, in correlational studies, cause-effect relationship can be there, but the interpretation should be very cautious. Because in correlational studies, if you go for bootstrap and do a bootstrap of 15,000 or 20,000 samples, till the result is consistent, and you do some simulations, if the results are consistent, then you can ascribe a cause-effect relationship, but you have to be very careful in writing. Except experimental design, nowhere you can write it in a cause-effect manner, that this is causing this. Particularly in correlational research, we should not dare to write that because that may be objected by the reviewers. Because cause-effect relationship is only mentioned in experimental design. Because the experimenter manipulates the independent variable whose effect is gauged in results. There you can write about cause-effect relationship in writing. Otherwise, in results, suppose you are doing a correlational study or regression. Take the independent variable as reference. High level of independent variable is associated with high level of dependent variable. That is the way you can express it. So it's a correlational type of analysis. Don't write that the independent variable is causing the dependent variables. That is a wrong expression. Of course, the meaning is same, but we have to cautious in very cautious about writing. And when you are writing the discussion, first of all, prepare an executive summary type of things, which will be in the first paragraph. Remember this, you have proved or supported, now you have supported or refuted a hypothesis, answered the research questions, and after that you are writing the major findings. It is in non-technical way, you have to write the summary without any reference to objective or hypothesis. Do not repeat the same sentences after this. You have to interpret your findings. How will you interpret your findings? You can interpret your finding by taking the theoretical backup, theories that are contested in the introduction. Some references are likely to be repeated, which are there in the introduction. So whether the theories that is contested and what results you are getting out of that, how the controversy is settled, you mentioned that, or take the ground reality into account, because if you yourself is the researcher involved in data collection, you know the ground reality. And you apply your analytical, logical, and reflective mindset, why the result is like this. And sometimes some authors, also in some of our articles, in Volunteer one article we have written, where we have given, after the results, you have given a case, what the subject has reported. So thereby, in spite of reporting the dry statistics and dry results, you are filling with some ground reality of the field, taking some micro cases or small cases. You are supporting your findings. Thereby, it is becoming more lively for the reader to read it. And when you are putting explanation, also consider the alternate explanation. Why the alternate explanation is not true? So therefore, as you have mentioned in the introduction, there should be a clear link between the introduction to method. Similarly to results and discussion, whatever your hypothesis supported, that is to be interpreted. That is the main concern of the discussion section. And without reporting, without all the time writing the results, you have to write in such a way so that you are showing that why the hypothesis is refuted. Then you have to write about the relevance and implications. When you are writing implications, you have to write theoretical implications and practical implications. How your findings are going to be used in the field. Theoretical relevance means what is the new thing that you have found, how it has extended, challenged, or modified a theory. And then you have to use about what is the use in the practical implication means how the findings will be used in the rural context, clinical context, industrial context, that you have to mention. Then you have to acknowledge the limitations, because no study is free from limitations. But don't write in such a way so that the limitations is becoming heavier than your findings. Don't write in that way. If you have so many limitations, then why you have not eliminated it? Write what is genuine limitations and which was not been taken care of in the research. And why you have not taken care of, you have to also suggest some alternate explanations for future studies. And thereby mentioning limitations, you are also suggesting a future study where the limitations can be addressed. And then you suggest problems for future investigation. And lastly, you give a take-home message. And this take-home message should come in the form of conclusions. That is the take-home message from the article, mentioning your original and novel contribution compared to the earlier literature. It will come in one paragraph or maximally two paragraphs. It should not be elaboration of everything again. And you have to write what is the original and novel contribution compared to the earlier knowledge and how this research had made a signal contribution to knowledge. That should come here. And it's not to overemphasize that I have found this and all these things. No, not like that. You have to write, because in writing you have to use a very polite way of expression. Similarly, when you are writing, these are the things you avoid. You will find never overinterpret the results. Whatever you find, you write there, don't overinterpret it. Don't make unwarranted speculations in the results. Don't inflate the importance of the study, that it is very important. In one article I have, in few months back, I was reviewing, the person has used 25 words important. Then I asked, which is not important here? Everything is becoming important. Which is not important? So don't do that mistake. If something is important, let others to decide whether it is important or unimportant. You need not have to give a declarative statement that it is very important in the context of the study. Let the reader decide whether it is important or not important. Then some restrict the interpretation to the results you have found. Don't go beyond it, or don't put some tangential issues. And do not criticize others. Even if you criticize, not satisfied, on what ground this study is there, you can mention. Don't directly attack the persons on the back, because you are not content-wise, you can argue, but don't attack the persons. Person is not your concern. Concern is your academics, your findings, and the findings of others. So even if you criticize, you have to be very polite in expressions. Don't attack on others. Conclusions not supported by data or evidence. Do not mention those things. When writing the discussion, focus should be there to help the reader to understand the study, and the highlights should be on study findings and why the study findings are like this. For a good manuscript, the number of pages in introduction and discussion should be roughly matched. Then you have to reference, then it will be on a separate page. Then acknowledge the sources that you can be done in the beginning or in the last. The author's contribution, some journals also there. And you see the Cambridge style or Chicago style or APA style. As per the journal requirement, you follow a particular style sheet and prepare your article. And then supplementary material, you can give in many journals have websites, you can give there, or video footage, photographs, three-dimensional models. It can be given in appendix or supplementary materials. Then you submit it to the journal. Then any article, from my experience, I know no article in a good journal will go in one time. Definitely they will ask for revisions. Till now, I have not faced an article which is passed through one go. Even in some of the small journals also. And all the time, remember, the persons, those who are giving you a review, they are not improving by doing so. They are trying to improve it. So don't criticize that. And a researcher has to be thick-skinned. Take it very positively, try to revise, and in the process you learn. Be positive in that. If you take it negatively, that person does not understand what I have written. He does not know what statistics I have used, what analysis I have done, what theoretical framework I have. These are all bogus arguments. It is a self-serving bias that I know everything others don't know. Remember, all the time your article is evaluated by experts. So don't, and you have to be thick-skinned. And by revising the paper, you all the time learn. Whatever we have learned today, we have not learned from publication manuals or learn from other people that they are teaching in the class. Only by revising the manuscript we learn. Because every comment is a source of learning for us. That mentality you must develop. And final submission, and after the article is accepted, then it may be a revision, resubmission, and so on. Then after that, there is copyright transfer. Then you can track in the different stages of publication. Then this is the 8 reasons why editors reject the articles. You can read it from here. These are the 8 important reasons why editors, it provides insight into an important issue. Why they accepted an article. The insight is useful for people who make decisions. The insight is used to develop a framework or a theory. The insight stimulates new ideas, important questions. The methods, interview, questionnaire, experiment, used to explain the issue are appropriate. The methods used are rigorously and explain why and how the data support the results. And there is a clear connection between the prior work and the present work, and the author makes, and what are the claims the author makes. with respect to the discovery of knowledge. And ultimately, the article tells a good story. Okay, in a logical, reflective, analytical rigor, it is written in such a way so that it tells a good story. And similarly, there are also reasons why the editors, you can see it here, why the editors, 8 reasons why papers are rejected. He fails the technical screening. Some people, they write the hypothesis in method section, tables, they take it to the discussion section, mix the results with the discussion. Such type of errors, it fails the technical screening. It does not fall within the aim and scope of the journals. It is incomplete. The procedure analysis of data are faulty and defective. The conclusion cannot be justified on the basis of the findings. And the study is only an incremental improvement over the earlier work of the same author. Not a vital. Even if it is there, you have to mention it clearly in the beginning how the work is going to extend the earlier work of the same author. It is incomprehensible. It is not understood clearly. It is boring. It does not tell a good story. So that is why the editors and authors, the editors, chief editors, and they reject the articles. And this is the question and review assignment. Read a qualitative and quantitative paper from your area of specialization. Read the paper carefully. Write the summary in each component with headings and subheadings and follow the same style and format. Check your draft using plagiarism software. Or university as Urkind, then you can use Tontin or Urkind. Then you can understand how you are writing and how you are able to mold the writing so that it is not copied exactly from the main source article what I have read. It is a qualitative or quantitative. Read the publication manual in the field or your discipline. Write briefly in your notebook what you have learned from the publication manual. That will be a lifelong lesson for all of you. And if you have any question, you can shoot questions. Tiwariji and others who have any questions, you can shoot questions.
So thank you so much, sir, for giving us such a detailed guide through the research writing. There are actually a lot of questions coming from the participants. So with your permission, sir.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Please.
Yes, sir. So one of the participants has asked whether the hypothesis should be written in past tense. According to some experts, hypothesis should be written in past tense, and some experts say that they should be, in future tense. So, sir, your opinion on that?
I have never seen a hypothesis written in past tense, to my knowledge. It is written in present and future. My preferred style is future. Say job satisfaction, high satisfaction of the employee with the job will relate to higher performance of the employees. Will. That is the future tense I use in my writing. In some of the writing also I found that they use present tense also. Past tense nowhere is used. To my knowledge, if they have any authentic literature, that's fine. But to my knowledge, it is not there. I read all the time good journals, but I have never seen a hypothesis written in past tense. Don't search some journals which are predatory journals or disvalued journals. See the journals like Academy of Management Review or Applied Psychology, Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin or Personality and Social Psychology. These are the good journals you can see. And I don't think past tense is the preferred style. However, most of us write in future tense that this will relate to this, or both groups will differ like that. Male and females, males will more empathy than that of females. Males will have more empathy than females.
Sir, even in non-directional hypothesis, can we write in future tense, sir?
Non-directional hypothesis is generally not preferred. Why I am telling you? Because what is your analytical argument then after reading the literature? Non-directional means I am saying male and female will differ in empathy. Say for example, in empathy, male and female will differ. Then what is your conceptual argument there? That means women are giving birth to child. They have a motherhood mandate, and they are rear the child. Sympathy and empathy developed from the very that day, and they are taught from the early childhood about caring and others. And they are more compared to the more caring than the males. Based on that, we can formulate the hypothesis that females will have more empathy than males. If you mention a non-directional hypothesis, males and females will differ, what is the argument there? You cite some study and then come out to a conclusion. That does not carry much weight. Because the reviewer will all the time see whether you have put your thinking into the particular topic. When you put your thinking into a particular topic, then reflective and conceptual and analytical arguments will come, which will be propelled to formulate hypotheses like this.
Okay, sir. I think sir has disconnected. So let's wait so that sir may rejoin.
Yes, we may wait for
A few minutes.
a
Yeah.
minute.
Sir has joined now. Sir, can you hear us?
Sir is trying to reconnect.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now I can see. Sir, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, you have joined us. We have just admitted your system HP. Mm,
Still showing joining.
okay, sir, do you have this link? Okay, again, we are going. Yes, yes, same link. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, we are allowing you time and again. Okay, okay. Okay, we have already allowed, sir, but I don't know why. Uh, okay, I will share this link. Uh, okay, okay. Then, mhm. Okay, 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 sir. Okay, sir is not able to connect. So what Rose you can do? You can ask question, and I will use my phone, and sir will be answering questions through my phone speaker. Is it okay?
Uh,
So we can try.
Okay,
Definitely, that
just
would be really
uh, now you may ask question.
okay. So
Hmm,
proceed to the next question.
hmm.
So, is there any category for grading the research article on the basis of impact factor? How can I choose the journal on the basis of the impact factor?
Hey, first of all, it is not because in psychology and other fields, particularly in social science, high impact factor journals are very few. Even it is more than one impact factor, then it is good. First of all, you search the journal, seeing the objective of the journal and the article you are writing. Is it the article meeting to the objective of the journal? Second point, if you see the article that you have written, please look into the references. And in the references, some of the journal articles you have more citations. Those citations you have taken from some of the journals, specific journals, maybe from leadership studies, maybe from Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, maybe from Journal of Applied Psychology. More reference that you take from a particular journal or some references you take from a particular journal, those will be the reference point to search an article, to search a journal to which you will submit. And that may have a good impact factor. Even in psychology of the field, if it is one or above one, it is also a good journal. Because in social science, we do not get the journal which has very high impact factor. And also, impact factor varies with years. Say, for example, when I was submitting as young scholars like you and I was writing, I was submitting some articles to Journal of Business Ethics. At that time, it has no impact factor. Now it is in FT50, that is the 50 best journals in the world, and it has the impact factor gone up to 4 point something, 4.5 or 4.67 like that. So impact factor increases over years. So don't bother about much in the beginning, but you have to see that it is a good publisher, means a society publications, particularly APA, or you go to Elsevier, Springer, then you have Elsevier, then Taylor Francis, then Emerald, Springer. These are the journals, these are good publishers, including Sage. So you look to them and publish there. Or some society journals. Society journals are best, like APA journals, they are best. Okay, so impact factor you should not consider. So your answer is that in the beginning you see that your objective of the article matches with the objective of the journal. Second, it must be from a good publisher like Elsevier, then Taylor Francis, then Springer, like that. Or from a society journal, then you submit it. And in social science research, even having an impact factor greater than 1 or equal to 1 is a good journal in my opinion. And number 2, what I have applied and said is that see the references that you have made in the articles. Wherever there are many references are taken from a journal, that means this particular journal is taking similar type of articles. You can get the clue from there and submit to that journal. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Rose, next question, please.
Yes, yes, sir. So, sir, the next question is a lot of people are saying that during the time of pandemic, there is a huge problem when it comes to collecting data. So, first of all, how can we kind of tackle that, the collection of data? And if in case somebody has collected data before pandemic, how relevant would it be according to you? Can it be kind of used again?
It is up to you to, I will cite 2 cases in my case, in our case. One doctoral student was doing with me, she was completed 3 studies. Last year, a big problem and a primary survey was there. All other papers were from secondary data. She was working on compensation management. So what we have got into LinkedIn, then we have catched hold of some of the alumni of IIT
From there, we have collected the data. With that, we found out some other people. And there was every day, there was a case. Every day, she was up to 2 a.m. in the night, she was chatting with others. And take a shot from them. And even they were saying that you tell us how to fill the questionnaire and all that. Then there was a dialogue. If they face the difficulty, they ask the meaning of the question. Likewise, she was able to collect data around 170 managers. So that was one case. Another case, another person, he was working with chronotype. What he did, he collected the data before the pandemic. So he was interested, I heard from that. I told him that if you collected the data, he has another one was a survey work that is completed, huge survey. Another two was experimental work. I told him that part of the experiment he has done on temperature measurement and others. Other things that I suggested, why don't you try the problem like that? The same adult population, you have chronotype data of certain variables. During the pandemic, you take that data, make a comparison, non-pandemic and pandemic. You have to use your own imagination, how you can fabricate from a simple problem to go to a complex problem and take advantage of the pandemic. Accuracy, when it comes to data, do you think that in non-pandemic all the data are accurate? Data accuracy can be known with various. Suppose you give a declaration to the data can be manipulated, data can be fabricated, it can be many things can be done with the data. It is our honesty which determines it is our honesty and the way the supervisor train the doctoral students. If we inspire our students to manipulate the data to fit the hypothesis, they can manipulate it. But that should not be the pattern because ultimately our finding is going to benefit the society. Accordingly, we should be aware of that and we should not manipulate the data. And if somebody wants, whether before pandemic or after pandemic, he can manipulate, he can fabricate, he can falsify. I think now it has come. Again, it has come. Now your internet connection is unstable. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. Now, sir, now you can say, and I am unmuted. Sorry, again it has gone. Anyway.
No problem.
Anyway, I am hearing in the phone. You please ask as many questions you like.
Okay. Next question, Rose, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, should we include any words in the keywords that are already in the title? And how many keywords is normally a good number to be included in a manuscript?
Five they ask for, you give 5 keywords. And if a particular title, it will go definitely 1 to 2 words, maybe go from my title. So for recently, I have worked on public leadership. It is a very important theme and on the basis of which everything was on that. Public leadership. So that automatically becomes a keyword after the abstract. So title and keyword can be taken from the title, no problem. But give maximally 5 keywords, that will do. Keyword does not mean one word, remember. 2-3 words can be combined together to make a keyword. Every keyword is not one word, remember. Say situational theories. When I'm mentioning these are 2 words, but it is a keyword.
Right.
Okay, keyword does not mean one word will be keyword. This may be 2 words may be combined together. Okay?
Right, sir. Yes.
So should I ask the next question?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for being so patient with this process. So the next
answering, because if I don't answer, I will search for the answer. That is for my personal gain. And I don't know the answer of all questions. If I don't know, I will say no. And I will search for answer. That will be a learning lesson for me. I am replying to comments. Okay.
Nice.
Oh, nice of you.
Right, sir. So the next question is, what is the advantage of sending a paper to preprints? And can you suggest some preprints for this for studies in the field of psychology?
What is the advantage of sending a paper?
Preprints.
Preprint.
G.
Okay. I do not have much idea about these things. Preprint I know, but the journal can publish. What is the advantage of that? I don't know. Because the people may see it and give their comments. That is the only thing.
Okay.
People may read and see the article in the website and give them maybe.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. We can have another question. Roj?
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Hmm.
So, sir, a lot of participants are asking questions around hypothesis. Is it necessary to write hypothesis in a study that is not experimental? And especially also in studies which are intervention-based studies, should should hypothesis be formulated? That's the question.
So my answer is that, madam, you is that, madam, you may not basically a supposition and a proposition. You are going to test it. You develop the writing in such a way, even if you don't explicitly declare that it is a hypothesis, you can write that this one, based on these arguments, it is intended to test, it is intended to examine whether females will differ in empathy from the males. That's all. Based on above observations or above discussion, we propose that females will be more empathetic than the males. Here I am not writing the hypothesis explicitly. If you do not declare such type of statements, then what you are going to do? How it will be clear? I am not saying that explicitly you declare the hypothesis. Hypothesis can be there in the writing itself. Otherwise, what you are going to do, who will know it?
Right.
So therefore, you may not explicitly declare the hypothesis, but writing in such a way so that the end it will indicate what you are going to do, what is your objectives. And when you are writing, it is not just copying pasting the literature. It is substantive review means which are essential. On the basis of that, you are developing a set of reflective and analytical arguments. Then if you don't write the hypothesis, you can write the alternate hypothesis. Based on the above discussion, we propose that the females will be more empathic than the males. That's all. Or it will be examined that whether females will be more empathic than males. Females will be more empathic than males. Empathic than males. I can write like that, without explicitly declaring. And some people, in order to make it more formal, they write the hypothesis. Either you write many of the studies in FEA journals like the Applied Psychology or Journal of Personality Social Psychology, they don't write hypothesis, all the type of papers. But every time that are examined, whatever questions or hypothesis raised, hypothesis formulated or questions raised, that is exactly answered sequentially. They may not number it hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3, but because you are beginner in research, it is all the time better to move in a methodical way so that we will not be here and there in drafting. We will be very systematic because we are not very experienced writer, all of us, even including me. Still I am learning and developing. So we all should go in a methodical way so that we will not go here and there. We will be systematic in our approach to tackle a research problem.
Okay, thank you, sir. Roj, are you taking any question?
So there are 2 more questions, sir, if only sir allows him, if he's comfortable. Otherwise, I think.
You can ask, no problem for me. I am able to hear.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. So, sir, this might be a little bit of a repetition, but some of the participants are really insisting on this question. So that's the reason why I'll repeat. What is the relevance of like alternative hypothesis according to you again in the research? I hope if in case, yeah.
I have mentioned about alternate hypothesis, alternate directional hypothesis, not non-directional. The relevance is that when you are writing an introduction, what you are doing, we are citing some literature here and there, giving the or in a theoretical frame. On the basis of that, we are writing that this is likely to happen. This will likely to happen. That is the alternate hypothesis. But if alternate hypothesis means one will know in the beginning that what is the analytical and reflective arguments, what is the theoretical backdrop the research is thorough about on the basis of which he is proposing this sort of hypothesis to be tested. If you write a non-directional hypothesis, no sort of reflective thinking is required. No argument is required. We just want to test whether females are more empathetic than males. That's all. But that does not give, no. We just want to know whether, we just want to hypothesize that males and females will differ. That is a non-directional alternate hypothesis. And non-directional alternate hypothesis does not require much of brain work, does not require much of thinking. So your article, when you are writing, the readers will get the idea that a lot of arguments on the basis of theories, reflection, and deep thinking is there, which is leading to this alternate directional hypothesis. That is why we formulate alternate directional hypothesis. It is intellectually appealing. One will feel interested to read it. So therefore, in all of our studies, we all the time mention alternate directional hypothesis, not non-directional.
Okay, sir. Next one.
I think so. We have mostly covered a lot of questions.
So one question I do have, sir, if you allow me, then I can.
Yes, please. No problem for me, please.
Sir, if in any researches, if we are using any test and the test claims like it's a cultural free test, so do we should we go for the CFA to get the data for reliability and all, or should we avoid it?
No. The point is that when you are using a test, you have to see that these things are existing in our culture. Say, for example, in anxiety, I feel blue. Blue is the American English. Our context it is not used. Why not to eliminate that item and substitute? Even if we have Spellberger test of anxiety, there is some words which is not understood used in our culture. And also, when you are using a questionnaire or a test or an inventory, you have to see that these items have relevance in our culture. And then you apply this test and then establish the reliability and validity. In one go, reliability and validity can be established is not a very big deal. Because you do not know it, we think that this sort of sophistication is very time consuming and all that. Do a confirmatory factor analysis, from there you can find out reliability and validity in one. Any test you do. So, first of all, you have to translate the test item to our own language, then back translate it to English to see that there is a parity and authenticity, translation, back translation. And once it is in our language, then you have to see that whether it is understood and it is relevant to our culture. If some items are not relevant, then you substitute with another item or eliminate that item. Then after collection of the data, you establish the reliability and validity. You are the sole user of this test. You must ensure that it is authentic to our culture. And if it is not authentic to our culture, if you use it, everybody can question our findings. And better when we are in social psychology or in some of the organizational behavior when I work, we use mostly the foreign test, but all the time we have a check and balance. And we found some of the tests are also good. It's easy to question, but at the same time, you have to understand, are the tests available in India is better than the foreign tests? This is the question we have to ask to ourselves. And if you are a researcher, if you are satisfied, yes, Indian tests are better, then use it. You will apply your mind. Not that some big shot has developed, that's why you use it. That is not the point. Point is relevance, your intellectual concern, and your thinking on that, and then you come to a conclusion. You are the user of the test, and you must ensure that it is accurate. And it is easy to say that the test is in our cultural content, but at that time you have to ensure if you have used some words, if you have changed certain statements, and if you have used it and established the reliability, validity, and all that, how it is culturally relevant? But you have to make a comparison. Are the authentic tests compared to Western tests, are there authentic tests in India which I am using? Is it more authentic and why? Not that it is developed in India, that's why you are more authentic. Many of the domains are not covered and some of the domains are covered which are less relevant. कोई टेस्ट का रिलायबिलिटी है तो किसी का वैलिडिटी नहीं है, किसका वैलिडिटी है तो रिलायबिलिटी नहीं है, किसी का प्रोसीजर भी फॉलो नहीं किया, डेवलप कर दिया तो डेवलप कर दिया. I am not blaming anybody, but my point of concern is that as a researcher, you apply your own insights and take the decisions.
Thank you,
And
sir.
in many cases in social psychology and organizational behavior, we also develop tests. Frequently we develop tests. Because test development is not a very big deal. And if you are originally developing a new concept and new test, it's really a big deal. You have to go for qualitative research. From qualitative research, you have to go item generation. From item generation, you have to item scrutiny by experts. Then item scrutiny to scaling and all that. Then you have to administer in a population. Then after administration, you have to find out the reliability and validity. And after reliability and validity, you have to establish criteria and related validity in test development.
Yes.
Then the entire procedure will be complicated. It's really cumbersome. But if some original tests are available, we find that some of the items can be deleted, and it depends upon how you have conceptualized the particular construct or the variables.
Okay, sir.
Have
Thank
I
you so much,
answered
sir.
your question?
Yes.
Put responsibility on your shoulder to decide whether we will use a test or not.
Sir,
You have to make that decision.
sir, thank you so much for your energy,
Yes.
enthusiasm, and patience. Because if you allow,
Yes.
then it will be endless session. So maybe it will be, we can go for midnight because questions are coming and
Coming.
participants are not interested in say that now we don't have any questions. So we have a number of questions. What we can do, we can share your email ID with participants and they will be asking questions through that channel. So
Okay.
for today, for now, our sincere gratitude, I mean, on the behalf of organizing committee, Ramanujam College, and participants. So now, Roj, would you like to say something, anything?
I am deeply grateful to you for giving me opportunity to address all of you. I enjoy all the time speaking about research and all that because I have a passion for that. And I enjoyed it. If anytime future it gets the opportunity, I also talk
Yeah,
with
definitely, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and all the
yeah.
participants for enlightening me by asking some questions. Because it forced me to think something.
Yeah.
And that is the gain on my part.
Yeah.
So I am thankful and grateful to all the participants and to you all. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Thank
sir.
you.